good Monday morning to everyone out there. Landon Hampton with you to bring you this Weather or Not Bowling Green morning weather video update. Now, it is a damp start for us out there. We're looking at scattered rain showers across the region. That's going to continue throughout today, and then as we get into tonight and into our Tuesday, we're looking at a stout little squall line that looks to move through here. Could be bringing some very breezy conditions along with some strong storms along with it. Then after that, we're going to get a lull in the precipitation as we work through midweek into our Wednesday and our Thursday. However, Friday into Saturday, we're keeping our eye on things as yet another strong storm system could be arriving. Overlooking the White Squirrel weather cam atop the beautiful campus of Western Kentucky University, we are underneath overcast skies with currently light sprinkles falling out there on top of the hill. Now looking at current radar, you can see we've had some spotty showers moving off to our northeast, but looking off over here to our west, we have another batch that's going to be arriving here and pushing northeast over the region very shortly. So we know what that means, a very damp morning commute. So please take note of the wet pavement before you head out the door. Temperature-wise, it's a mild start for us to say the least. We're sitting between the low and mid-50s across the entire region. We're going to remain very warm throughout the day as winds remain rather strong out of the south. Currently gusting early this morning between 5 up to around 15 miles an hour in a few locations. As we progress throughout today with a tightening pressure gradient, we could be looking at wind speeds exceeding 15 to 25, perhaps even 30 miles an hour. So you're definitely going to want the windbreaker to combat those stout breezes out there. What's going to be creating those stout winds? Well, we've got this area of low pressure across the northern plains. It's going to be pulling north-northeast. Then we have this area of high pressure off the eastern seaboard that's going to remain intact as well. That's going to result in a tightening pressure gradient. You can see how close all of these black lines are together. That is isobars representing a change in pressure. That's really going to result in very, very strong winds out of the south right over us here in south central Kentucky today. Now, taking a look at how things are going to unfold, we have this area of low pressure that's going to pull off to our north and then slowly to the north and east. And as that does so, that's going to be bringing a cold front west to east across the region as we get into the morning hours of our Tuesday. Could be bringing a stout squall line along with it. Then high pressure is going to filter in behind that weak cold front, going to be bringing us subtle weather conditions throughout our Wednesday and our Thursday. But as we get into our Friday and then into our Saturday, we're going to be dealing with this little weak low feature moving off, and then we're going to see a stronger area of low pressure develop across the central plains, slowly pull north and east over us as we get into our Saturday and then into our Saturday night. With the proximity of that low to our area, that could be bringing the possibility of some strong storms along with that. So we're focusing on rain chances today with a squall line following tomorrow. Then we're watching very closely again as we get into the first day of that upcoming weekend with another round of strong storms on the table. As far as the next few days are concerned, here's a look at the NAM 4-kilometer simulated radar. Scattered on and off activity throughout today, on and off showers, but then as we get into the early morning hours of our Tuesday, you can see that squall line starting to organize and get its act together here off to our west. That'll plow south and east over the region as we get into our Tuesday. Could see a few strong storms out of that, not necessarily expecting any widespread severe weather, but a few isolated cells might reach the lower end of severe criteria, so we will be monitoring that closely. Then we're going to get into a lull of that action as we get into our Wednesday. So here's a look at the severe weather outlook for tomorrow. We are in what's basically generalized thunderstorms. Again, we are not expecting severe weather, but we could be experiencing some very, very stout winds out ahead and along with that cold front working in here. Now let's look a little bit more into the future. Here comes that squall line tomorrow that's going to work through here. Then we get into that period of quiet activity as we get into our Wednesday and Thursday. Weak low pressure could be bringing some scattered rain chances on Friday, but then that more potent low pressure system works over us from the Great Plains. It's going to be slicing right across the Kentucky-Tennessee line right now. Now, I'd like to add we're about 6 days in advance, so a whole lot can change with these models, but just want to give you a heads up as far in advance as possible. Looking like late Saturday afternoon and into Saturday evening will be our time to see the possibility of some strong storms working in here. Here's a look at Saturday, all right? The Storm Prediction Center has already outlined this yellow shaded region, pointing out a 15% probability of severe weather occurring within 25 miles of a point. And yes, that does include Bowling Green and us here in South Central Kentucky. So nonetheless, after Tuesday squall line moves in, all eyes are going to be shifting to that upcoming weekend. With that active pattern intact, it's going to be a wet one. You can see a large portion of the deep south up and through the lower Ohio, Mississippi valleys into the Ohio Valley and northeast. Very heavy rainfall is anticipated right over South Central Kentucky over the next 7 days, looking at anywhere between 2 to 3+ inches of the wet stuff through that time frame. Here's a look at the next 6 days, brought to you by Cheetah Clean Auto Wash. Scattered rain chances today with highs in the mid-60s. Showers and storms likely overnight and into our Tuesday. It'll be cooler with highs in the lower 60s. Sunshine returns Wednesday and Thursday. Some rain chances arrive Friday night, and then rounds of showers and storms are back on Saturday, and we're going to keep those temperatures between the mid and upper 60s. That's going to wrap up this Monday morning edition of the Whether or Not Bowling Green weather vlog. You got any questions about that forecast, feel free to leave them in the comments. But outside of that, don't forget the rain jacket and the rain boots to combat those scattered showers. You'll have a great start to the work week.